Everybody, and welcome back to my kitchen. Over the holidays, I was invited to a friend's house, and she had this squash. I don't even want to call it a casserole. I don't know what just a squash dish that was so delicious. I have to share it with you. Now I'm making a big batch because squash is one of my favorite vegetables, and I'm going to enjoy this. I've washed this squash. I have 3 zucchini and 3 yellow squash. You can use any combination you want to. And in her dish, she sliced these very thinly, and I made it before and I sliced it thinly. But today I'm going to take the ends off all of these, and I'm going to dice them after I get them to a decent dicing size. And I'm going to dice them in this Chop Wizard, Vidalia Chop Wizard. And when I get all of that done, I'll be back. Alright, we're back, and I've got my squash in this big pot here. I don't even know how many quarts it is. It's 6 or 8. And, you know, squash boils down to nothing. So, I felt safe in doing this. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Down in the very bottom of this pot, I've got about a quarter of a stick of butter. And I'm going to put a little bit of salt. It's a lot of squash. Going to put a little bit of freshly ground pepper. Probably more pepper than you would put in there. But I mean, you know, you season this to your taste. This is to my taste, but it's a very light and delicious. I mean, anytime I can find a different way to fix squash, I'm going to pass it on to you. Alright, and now this is chicken broth base and seasoning, and it's a powder. I'm going to put a teaspoon of that in there. Because I've got a lot of squash here. You know, you can half this recipe or quarter it, whatever suits your family needs. Alright, the next thing we're going to do, if I can get you over here, is I have an onion that I've peeled, and I left the root end intact so it wouldn't fall apart. Got a box grater. I'm going to use, where are you? There you are. This side of the grater. And I'm going to grate about 1/3 of this onion. Now the amount of onion that you put in is up to you. I don't want this saturated with onion taste. All I want to know is that there's onion in here. Let's see, I believe, let's see. Yeah, that's about got it right there. Get your onion off your box grater. Inside too. And you're going to put it in this pot. Now you're going to put this pot on like a medium low, because you don't want to cook this squash all the way. We're just going to cook it till it starts to get tender, and that'll be the end of the cooking time. And then we'll be back. Alright, we're back. The squash is almost done. And in the meantime, I mixed because I have a lot of squash, you'll have to adjust this if you're making less, about 1/3 of a cup of mayonnaise, and a little over maybe 1/4 of a cup of sour cream, and I mixed them together. I took an 8-ounce can of water chestnuts, and I drained them and rinsed them. Then I put them down on this sheet here, and I chopped them up, and I didn't make a issue out of it. You know, I didn't make work out of it. I just chopped them till they were in, these were whole. But anyway, I chopped them up, and I'm going to put them in my sour cream and mayonnaise mixture. I took the squash off the stove. I don't know if I told you in the beginning, but you do not add any water, no liquid. The only thing that's going in there is the, and I told you I'm using more squash, half a stick of butter. So that's all that went in the bottom. And then as the squash began to cook, you know, I kept turning it over so the bottom squash wouldn't get overdone. And I took a couple of pats of butter and put it in a pan and put some panko breadcrumbs in there, and I let those get just a light golden brown, and I got those in a paper plate waiting. So now all of the liquid that's in that squash, you drain it out. Drain every bit of it out. And we're going to bring it over here. Now, you can certainly use a strainer, a regular strainer. This is what I used. But, you know, you can definitely use one of the, just strain it through a strainer till all the liquid's gone. And I got as much out as I possibly could. My oven is preheating. And, alright, I got my squash here. It's not fully cooked, it's just partially cooked. Mostly cooked, I should say. Can you see that? There we go. And you see how much it cooked down. Alright. I'm going to take my mayonnaise, sour cream, and water chestnut combination. I'm going to put it in this hot squash. I think I probably need a spatula to get to it better. Now when you mix this, it should be a light mayonnaise-y taste. You can taste the sour cream, but it's just very subtle. That's how you know you've got it mixed right.
Come on.
Alright, I'm done with that. Now I'm just going to mix this up in here. Oh my goodness. I'm getting excited already. This is actually the best squash dish I have ever had. It really is. I couldn't eat enough of it. I could not eat enough of it at her house. When I left, she had a small casserole dish of it. But when I left, she had probably 2 servings left, and I would have eaten that, but I would have been embarrassed. Okay. All right. So I got that in there. And I'm going to, there's a little bit of water chestnut in there. I used to not really care for water chestnuts, but when you mix them in with something else, it'll take on that flavor. So, They were actually very good. I would not fix this dish without them. I wouldn't. All right, now here's my casserole dish. I'm going to back off just a little bit. Here's my casserole dish right here. And I'm going to empty this squash. Get it over where you can see. Not that it matters, but emptying all this hot squash in here. And there should be very little liquid. Probably the liquid that you see is from the mayonnaise and sour cream melting. And you see it doesn't take over the dish, but it's going to coat it. Alright, now what I'm going to do now is just sprinkle the panko breadcrumb, toasted panko breadcrumbs over the top of this and put it in the oven at 350 for about 30 minutes. And then we'll be back. Zoom in a little bit, show you what that looks like. Alright, we're back. My squash casserole is done. And this is what it looks like inside. I already pulled some out on a plate. It's delicious. Delicious. I want to say the best squash casserole. It's not really a casserole. Best squash, well, it could be. Best I've ever eaten. And I'm going to give it to Sam, who is going to taste it. Let me give you a close-up first of it.
Well, I'll be the judge of how good it is.
Let me know how you like those water chestnuts.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you need any salt and pepper.
Got a little zucchini in it.
Yeah.
I guess you were right. It's delicious. Yeah.
Do you like the water chestnuts?
I sure do.
Gives a little bit of crunch and.
Yeah, it's very good and very healthy tasting.
It's a light taste, isn't it?
Light.
But it still has a lot of flavor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because of the chicken broth and the grated onions. Alright guys, this is it. This is our squash casserole or squash dish that will just soothe your soul. It's so good. I hope you try it, and I appreciate you coming in and spending part of your day with me. Like and subscribe if you haven't. And until next time, you all take care.